Tom! Tom! Tom Sawyer, where are you? Tom's Aunt Polly was looking all over the house for her late sister's son. That boy, when you want him, is nowhere to be found, and when you find him, he makes so much mischief you half wish he'd have stayed hidden. Aunt Polly was searching through the house for the third time when she heard a noise behind her, spun around, and nabbed the boy tiptoeing away. Gotcha! And there's jam all over your face. Tom, I told you before, if I find you gobbling that jam, I'd— Look out! Cried Tom, pointing past his aunt. Thinking it might be a mouse, Aunt Polly shrieked and raised her long skirts off the floor. But this meant she had to let go of the boy. Turning, she saw there was no mouse, and meanwhile Tom had bolted out the door. I should have known it was a trick, muttered Aunt Polly. He deserves to be punished, and if I don't do it, he'll never learn the ways of polite folk. But oh, how he does make a soul laugh. Tom Sawyer, Aunt Polly, and Tom's cousin Mary lived in St. Petersburg, Missouri. St. Petersburg seemed like just a sleepy little village. But for a boy Tom's age, with imagination and energy, St. Petersburg was the perfect setting for adventures, real and imagined. Now Tom was on his way to another of those adventures, even though today was Friday and he was supposed to go to school. Too fine a day for sitting in that old wooden seat in that old wooden schoolroom. I'm already in for it with Aunt Polly. I may as well have some fun. Tom stayed out late into the warm summer evening and returned home silently through his bedroom window. But Aunt Polly was waiting in the room, and she had a punishment all ready. The next day, Saturday, Aunt Polly told Tom he would not be allowed to play with his friends. Instead, he would have to completely whitewash the high wooden fence by their side yard, and would have no free time until that was done well enough to pass her inspection. 30 yards of fence! This'll take me all day, moaned Tom to himself as he set the bucket of whitewash down on the sidewalk. Worse yet, he knew the other boys would tease him about being stuck there with his bucket and brush while they went off to play. But suddenly, inspiration struck. Bet it'll work, Tom grinned to himself, and he started whitewashing that high fence with long, smooth strokes, then stepping back to inspect his handiwork. A few minutes later, one of his friends, Ben Rogers, came by. Tom pretended not to notice Ben approaching, until at last Ben ventured, You sure are mighty busy, Tom Sawyer. Sorry, Ben. My mind was on this here fence. I'll bet it was, laughed Ben. I'm a-going out swimming, and you have to stay here and whitewash a fence. Have to stay? Tom replied. I wouldn't put it like that. I get to stay. It's not every day a boy gets to whitewash a fence. Now Ben had never considered things in this light. Suddenly it seemed to him that his friend Tom had been given a rare and desirable opportunity. So Ben said, Say, Tom, let me try it for a minute. Sorry, but Aunt Polly's mighty particular about how this fence looks. It takes a sharp eye and a sure hand. I'll be careful, pleaded Ben. And look, I'll even give you my apple. With reluctance on his face, but laughter in his heart, Tom allowed Ben Rogers to trade brush for apple, and then sat munching away happily while his friend began to do Tom's chore. About the time Ben was worn out, another boy came along, and then another. And each time Tom traded a chance at the fence for some boyhood treasure. In a few hours, the fence was brightly whitewashed, 3 coats. Meanwhile, Tom was the proud new owner of a kite, 12 marbles, a piece of chalk, a toy soldier, some tadpoles, 6 firecrackers, a dog collar with no dog. Why, according to the standards of boyhood, Tom was rich. If only the fence had been longer, he thought. I could have traded with every boy in town for his best stuff. Treasure and a successful trick. Now that was a satisfying day. So when Aunt Polly came out to inspect the fence and asked, "Now don't you feel real pride in your work?" Tom meant it when he replied, "Yes, ma'am, I surely do." For more titles from Jim Weiss and Well-Trained Mind Press, please visit us at jimweiss.com or welltrainedmind.com. Thank you for listening.